How's it going, guys? I hope you're doing all right today. Thank you so much for watching the video and for joining me in the first of a kind of new series that I'll be doing on the channel of talking about why we love. Talking about just games, movies, music, anything, of talking about like what our experiences were with it and some of the cool things we liked about it. And today we're talking about the legendary epic series itself. We're talking about the OG original that started it all with Dark Souls. I guess you could technically put Demon Souls there, but we're just going to start with Dark Souls for this time. To date, Dark Souls has sold over 13 million copies, and probably it's more closer to 15 million now in 2018, but it's left this mark on the world, man. It's very, very popular for a reason. The epicness of the series, the crushing difficulty, all of it. And today I am joined by Obliviator 2, or also known as my brother. If some of you have ever watched some of my live streams and stuff, he'd actually be there sometimes. You'd see him, and he'd kind of laugh at me when I die in the game and all that. But I'm joined by him. This guy has played Dark Souls literally for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Like, this dude is epic to no end. I'm talking about probably like 700-800 hours, probably, if not more. He loves the series. He knows everything about it that you probably could. And I couldn't think of a better guest to have on my first episode than somebody who knows the series so well and, also my brother. So that's cool. So thank you for being here, man.
Thanks. It's a pleasure.
Dark Souls with everything, like, I think the reason it was so popular in the first place is that it kind of brought back that old school difficulty from like the old school Nintendo games. Ninja Gaiden, Castlevania, Metroid, all that stuff. Like it kind of more so popularized like, oh, there's risk to reward. Like there's a great accomplishment, but also great difficulty. What would you say to that? Like, what initially like drew you into the even wanting to play the game in the first place?
To be honest, I really love medieval games, and just the fact that it was in a medieval set time period, that really drew me into it. So the first game I played was Demon Souls, and I played Demon Souls, didn't like it at first, so I stopped playing it, and then I skipped to Dark Souls once it came out.
Right.
And then once I played through Dark Souls, loved it. Pretty much loved everything about it. I finally went back to Demon Souls, and once I kind of understood the game a little bit more from playing one, I was able to get, I really enjoyed Demon Souls and finished it, and that's really kind of, it was mainly just the medieval aspect of it that brought me into the game.
Right, right. Yeah, and I also started with Demon Souls, and I actually got to play it when it first came out, like in what, I think it came here in like 2012 or something like that. And I remember playing the game, and I was just like, no, I'm good. This game's garbage. I don't like it at all. It was really clunky and janky, and to be fair, it still is. But that actually kind of turned me away from the series for like a long time because I was just like, I don't want to play that crap. But I don't know. I after Bloodborne came out, and I kind of saw that one, it was a PS4 exclusive, so ooh, that was all cool. But seeing that it was kind of more geared to like faster playing gameplay, and you're like a hunter and you're doing all your epicness, like I don't know, I finally gave Bloodborne a shot, and from there, kind of started playing some of the older titles and really enjoyed them. And I would say that just the overall cohesiveness of the world, it's really fun to play. It's nice knowing that, like, one, not only are you getting cool items, cool weapons, and like all of the wonderful difficulty and epic bosses, but it's like all of the worlds like connected together. So there are things in the game that like it does matter to an extent of what you do and how you progress, and I think that just adds more layers on top of like this already cool game that we love.
Yeah, and like to be honest, in a way, I compare it a little bit to the way the Elder Scrolls games are. Now, it's not as near as broad of an aspect, or as much stuff as those games, but there is a lot of customization, a lot of different routes to choose from, a lot of like little side things you can do, little storylines to follow, and also following the medieval outlook on it, where the swords, shields, bows, magic, all that. So uh, it always kind of struck my interest.
Yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure. And going off of that, with all the epicness involved, what would you say? I mean, I'm talking about like 700-800 hours that you played in this game, and I've only recently just played and beat it with the remaster that came out here recently. What would you say is probably like your favorite thing about Dark Souls 1 if you could choose?
Uh, Mine personally was the forest, which is where the Covenant was, where all the PvP went down, all the backstab battles, all the gank spanks, and everything else was going on. All the hacked crystal great swords running around. Now, take it. I played it back on PS3 when it first came out, and then I did play the remaster and did. It's basically the same game. Nothing really too much difference besides the amount of people you can bring into the game and a couple of little like higher quality and frame rates and stuff like that. But yeah, the forest was definitely where I spent the majority of my time. And the only time I ever really went out of the forest was if I needed to help somebody beat the game with certain bosses, because you have to beat Sif in order to fight the Four Kings. So I would have to beat my Sif in order to get the ring to help people with the Four Kings. And then I'd have to beat my game again so that I could get back to the forest to be able to do it again. So it's like I had to constantly beat the game multiple times in order to keep where I was at.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like I said, that old reward and punishing, like you get perks for doing certain things and you're kind of punished for doing others. So, yeah, I remember good times with the PvP, man. I remember just watching him just play PvP back on PS3 from time to time, and there were some funny moments, especially with tricking people with the bows and the items and shooting them off cliffs, and seeing you get ganked and all that. Good times, man. The lovely forest of death, Good times, good times. And I would probably say for me, my favorite part of Dark Souls one is absolutely Lost Islip. No, I'm joking. That that place is garbage. That oh my gosh, I hated that. The Bed of Chaos is garbage too. I actually have that on my live stream, plug if you feel free to check it out. You'll get to see my whole experience with trying to go through that place and fighting the Bed of Chaos. So good times. But I would probably say my favorite part about Dark Souls 1, if I had to condense it to like an area or something, I actually really, really liked the Painted World. The Painted World really felt like I don't want to sound cheesy, but it really, to all degrees and extents, it really felt like a level completely separate from the game. Like you kind of go in there, and the area's not that big either. It's kind of like a little maze you're just running through, and you get shortcuts to go there faster. And there's only Priscilla is the boss at the end and stuff, but even though it's kind of short and it doesn't really amount to much, I really enjoyed just going through that world, and especially being with further in the game. It's kind of like a nice, chilled, relaxing place where a lot of the time I would go to just kind of like get experience and level up. And I don't know, I guess after a while it kind of just started feeling homey to me because I knew that place inside and out. Going on from that though, speaking of epic bosses and with Priscilla and how hard she was, like I literally think in the boss fight I had with her, I don't think she hit me one time. Like I just like I
She
heard.
always trips up a bunch of people just because she goes invisible and you have to try to find her.
Yeah, which I was a little worried about that too at first, but I don't know, she got invisible and I just started, kind of seeing little pallets of snow and all that, and I just like, oh, got her. And I mean, it was just like, I literally don't think she hit me one time. Much love though to Priscilla, she's amazing. But speaking of amazing bosses in the series, kind of like what the series is famous and notorious for, what would you say for you was the boss that gave you the most trouble, or just the most annoying boss in the original Dark Souls? Who would you say that is for you?
On my first playthrough, when I went through the game, the hardest boss for me was by far Ornstein and Small. Just because I was like you, I wanted to do every boss by myself, and fighting them two at the same time, not knowing any cheeses or anything like that, uh, just going through the game first time blind, that gave me the most trouble, just because of the fact that there's two bosses and then there's two phases to the boss, and that like just overall with the combos of their attacks and everything, that gave me the most trouble.
Yeah, Ornstein and Smog, which I also have that on my channel in like a little live stream thing. That was fun times. And it is definitely difficult. I feel like really half the battle is trying to just separate them so you can hit one, you know. But they killed me a few times. But I think the hardest thing for me personally, if I had to just pick a boss out of like just like, oh, this guy's hard, this guy's annoying, like I really do not like fighting this boss, I would probably say that was definitely Manus. And for me, I was unaware of like like I don't use magic and I didn't use like any pyromancy, so I'm literally just doing like a melee, a physical build the whole game, and I get to Manus and like I know there's a thing you can do where you can like avoid his magic and stuff like that, but obviously I didn't have that, so I had no defense against his magic. He has that stupid attack where he like screams, and if he hits you anytime, it's like once he screams, he does like this whole 5 or 6 moveset attack. That's just like him going crazy and ballistic. And if you get hit one time at all during that attack, you're like stun locked. And like you just get lifted up in the air and you can't move. Like it throws you on the ground and everything. And there had been so many times where I would like hear him scream and I would try to dodge and run out the way and I'd like miss the first attack, but then I'd get hit with the second one and then I just get stuck all over again. Now I think he only beat me like 5 or 6 times before I ended up getting him and finishing the job. But it was just I hate bosses that kind of like trap you in a way.
You also got to think for me that whenever I played through the game at first, there was no DLC.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, there was no Manus, there was no Artorias, and there was no Black Dragon Calamite either.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I will say that Manus was a little difficult, but as far as like for me, by that time I was already on New Game, probably past 10, like already like on New Game plus 13 or 14 at that period. So I already had my magic, I had my build already like locked in. So I didn't have much trouble with Manus. I mean, he was a little bit hard, but I was able to combat that with the magic and you know everything else that I had.
Right, right. Yeah, and it just bosses like because I'm going through all my first playthrough. I'm just treating it like it's another part of the game, first time. So for me, it's just bosses that kind of like trap you and like kind of like stun lock you and stuff. I really don't like because like the old Demon King from Dark Souls 3, he was actually a really easy boss. But like almost every attack he would do, at least for me, it would like if he hit you, he would like knock you down. And I just hate that. Like I hate just like it's a really punishing thing for me. Like when you're knocked down, you're just like ooh, and then you have to wait like 5 seconds to get back up and all that. I really hate that. So the old Demon King actually killed me like a good bit of times just because he would like knock me down and it would throw me off and he just ended up hitting me again and stuff. But he definitely not a hard boss, but just bosses like that kind of are like a little tricky, like oh don't let him hit you now, and all that stuff. But all the bosses, all the epicness is cool and all, and I definitely enjoy them. It's definitely a rush, fighting all the bosses and having a good time, and getting the new weapons, getting the new armor, and all that. And with the legacy of Dark Souls and all, the game's notorious. The game is amazing, and obviously tons of people have played it. What would you say with somebody that's never played the series? Because I didn't play Dark Souls 1 until this year with the remaster myself. What would you say for newcomers to the series, or what would you say to people that have just never played it before? Like, why should they even give this game a chance?
Uh, Really, the best thing I can tell you is the game makes you want to play it more the more you play it. So it's a challenge. If you love a challenge, then this game will definitely give you a challenge, most likely. I don't know anybody that's played it and not died. uh, and then again, even I still die at points because no matter how good you are at the game, no matter how much of a veteran you are, there's still the game itself will troll you sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it. But for anyone that hasn't played the game before, it's a new take on an RPG. type game. Like, especially if you like medieval games like I do. Any type of medieval game I love. You know, I like the armor, the swords, the bows, all that. Uh, this is a really good take on it. Like, especially if you like any of the Elder Scrolls games and like that, then I'd definitely check out Dark Souls. It is going to be a little different. You're going to have to get used to it, but overall, it is a very enjoyable game, and it's going to be, you know, it's worth the time that you put into it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's a fantastic time. It's a fun experience, and I would probably just add on to that that one, you don't have to play like we did. Like you can remain connected online. You can get summons to help you with bosses. Like you don't really have to do everything alone. I think it's just a matter of pride for us in a way to like just for the first time ever playing, just like do it on your own. That way you can just say you did it, and that way any other times you play it, you can do whatever you want to. You can cheese, you can get people to help you, you can do whatever you want. But I guess that's like a mark of pride, just being like, yeah, I beat him on my own, like you supposed to, you know. It's good times. And I would add to that with the amazing, unique experience with just saying that, like, not only is it about the bosses and about the difficulty and about the risk and reward, but the whole world itself is inclusive on top of that. Like, there are areas in the game to where, like, if you go to them first, or if you go to them out of order, or if you go to them before you do certain things in the story, different things will happen. And it's very cool to see, like, just the world actually being alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really feels like, kind of like what I said earlier, it really does feel like what you're doing does matter to a degree, because there are people you can save, and there are people you can kill or fight, or there are certain items you can get if you do certain things in the game. And I think Dark Souls 1 kind of has a good balance of like to where it's not like too ridiculous over your head to try to get it all figured out. I felt like Dark Souls 3 was a little more way too specific into like doing stuff.
Well, the only really specific thing in Dark Souls that not a lot of people figure out is how to get to the Dark Wreath Covenant.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just because you wouldn't know that unless someone like unless you did it by accident.
Right, right. Yeah, and I'm glad you told me about that. That way I could at least get the trophy.
Yeah.
Basically it's you have to beat the four kings before you talk to the other serpent, right? Like you literally just
Like
have to ignore
as
the serpent that's there.
like
And
as soon as you ring the second bell, a serpent will appear in Firelink Shrine. But if you talk to him and do his storyline, you won't have access to the Dark Wreath Covenant because the snake won't appear in the abyss after you beat the four kings. So after you ring the two bells, you basically have to go fight the four kings. And once you beat the four kings, the other snake will appear down there, and that's who you talk to, and you'll be able to join the Dark Wreath Covenant.
yeah, that
The
was
only reason I found it was by accident because I was just going through the game and I didn't talk to the snake.
right,
And
right.
so that was how I found it, was by accident.
Yeah, I feel that. It definitely is interesting. Which still, that's not necessarily too complicated on its own, but obviously common sense is going to be like, oh wow, there's a huge giant snake here now. Let's go see what this guy's about. And just knowing that, like, if you do that, you're locked out, of a whole covenant. Very interesting. But yeah, it's the epic world just on top of everything else that really gives Dark Soul its own soul in a way, and really makes the world feel alive and interesting. It's a living, breathing world on top of the amazing difficulty and risk and bosses. And I really feel like that's a lot of those reasons of why we love Dark Souls so much in the first place. And again, man, just thank you for being on today talking about the series. Like I said, 700-800 hours, heck, if not more,
It's over 1,000.
Yeah, over 1,000. Okay, yeah, I mean, and I swear probably most of that is on PvP for sure.
That most of that's just Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, and then
Not
yeah,
anything
just
really
Dark
on the
Souls
other.
1. Yeah. So I mean, it's just countless hours of fun, and for somebody to just be able to play that game so long and keep coming back, there's got to be something special about it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. Let our audience and people know, like, where can we find you? Like, what do you do personally?
Well, sometimes I stream on Twitch. It's under my gamer tag, Obliviator2. Um, Other than that, I have a YouTube channel where I upload videos every now and then. If you want to see some nice little highlights that I do, then you can come check that out. But mostly, I do streams on Twitch.
Yeah, man, and which all of that will be in the links below, by the way. But again, brother, just for the first new episode of this little series and just talking about all these amazing things, just thank you for being on, man. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Again, guys, just thank you so much for watching, and hope you digged it, hope you enjoyed it, and kind of let us know your thoughts about Dark Souls in the comments below. Take the same questions I asked my brother and that we talked about, write them down in the comments. Let us know your favorite part about the game, your hardest boss, and all that good stuff. And I can't wait to be back talking about other cool, epic things in the future. And again, guys, just let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. Major, major love to each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time.